So you're thinking about packing it up and moving to Kansas City, the land of barbecue, jazz, and what else is there really? Well, before you begin your trek to the Paris of the Plains, let me educate you on a few things you may not have known and could cause you to reconsider. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Moving to KC, where I discuss all things Kansas City, from lifestyle to real estate. I've got you covered. So be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell if any of those things interest you. I'm also a realtor and can help you buy, sell, relocate, and invest here. So shoot me a call, text, email if you check any of those boxes. Let's jump into all the reasons why you could regret moving to Kansas City, and you won't want to miss number 13, so be sure to stick around till the very end. If you're someone who enjoys high-end shopping and the thrill of owning designer brands, you might find Kansas City a bit lacking in that department. I recently attended the Country Club Plaza press conference following the sale to the new owners, and something notable came up. The new owner mentioned that Kansas City is the largest market missing designer brands like Gucci and Louis Vuitton. These new owners also own Highland Park Village in Dallas, which is known for its luxury shopping experience. So naturally, there's some hope for what they can bring to Kansas City. During the press conference, it was mentioned that they've already been in contact with some of the top designer brands. So while you might currently find yourself hopping on a plane to Chicago or New York for your designer shopping needs, there's a glimmer of hope that Kansas City will soon catch up. But for now, if having immediate access to stores like Gucci and Louis Vuitton is a crucial factor for you, KC might not be the perfect fit. The city offers plenty of other shopping experiences, but for the fashion-forward crowd craving luxury labels, the options are a bit sparse at the moment. Next up, for all you foodies out there, you may be slightly disappointed in the cuisine options in Kansas City. While we have some great spots, the variety can still feel limited compared to larger cities known for their diverse culinary scenes. If you're used to having a vast array of international cuisines and unique dining experiences at your fingertips, Kansas City's offerings might seem a bit more modest. But let's touch on what KC does have to offer. Personally, I think there's a bit of a misconception that the food scene here is strictly barbecue. While our barbecue is legendary and a significant part of our culinary identity, it's far from the whole story. In fact, this is an area where I think we tend to punch above our weight for a Midwestern city. For example, we have Waldo Thai, where you can experience authentic and modern Thai dishes, or Pier Ponce at Union Station, where they offer a fine dining experience in a historic setting with a menu full of delicious steaks and seafood. Then you have Clay and Fire, offering unique Mediterranean dishes cooked over an open flame. And lastly, we have Cooper's Hawk, a winery and restaurant known for its exceptional wine pairings and contemporary American cuisine. Now, one big plus about the food scene here is how easy it is to get reservations to the best restaurants. Unlike bigger cities where you might need to book weeks or even months in advance, Kansas City's dining scene is accessible and welcoming. So if you're moving here with the expectation of a culinary scene that rivals the likes of New York or San Francisco, you might need to adjust your expectations a bit. Another thing that consistently confuses out-of-towners is which Kansas City we're referring to, because the largest Kansas City is actually on the Missouri side. The name itself often leads people to believe it's primarily in Kansas, but that's not the case. However, there is a Kansas City on the Kansas side, and our metro is divided pretty evenly between people who live in Kansas and those who live in Missouri. This geographic quirk has led to some interesting and sometimes heated dynamics, especially when it comes to the Chiefs and Royals. The situation with the teams has been amplified here recently. In April, Jackson County, Missouri voters turned down a tax extension which would have kept the teams in Missouri. This decision has sparked a lot of debate and tension. To escalate matters further, the state of Kansas has passed a star bond bill to try and lure the teams across the state line. This rivalry can get pretty intense, with people on both sides of the border having strong opinions about where the team should call home. Sometimes the discussions can get pretty nasty, with supporters on both sides digging in their heels. However, there are many who see us all as one metro area, myself included. The Kansas City Metro is a vibrant and interconnected community that transcends state lines. We share cultural events, job markets, and most importantly, a love for our sports teams, regardless of which side of the state line they might end up on. Speaking of differences between the two states, schools schools can vary greatly depending on where you end up in the Kansas City metro area. Education is a significant factor for many families when choosing where to live, and here it's crucial to understand the landscape. On the Kansas side, particularly in Johnson County, you'll find some of the best schools in the entire state. There are good schools on the Missouri side as well. Several districts provide quality education and have strong community support. However, the situation is more complex when it comes to Kansas City public schools. The district has faced various challenges over the years, including issues with funding, lack of resources, and academic performance. As a result, many parents in the Kansas City Public School District choose to send their children to private or charter schools. These alternatives can offer smaller class sizes, specialized programs, and a different educational environment that some families find more conducive to their children's success. Choosing the right school for your children can be a daunting task, and in Kansas City, it often means carefully considering the differences between Kansas and Missouri. Researching individual school districts, visiting schools, and talking to other parents can help you make an informed decision. Moving on, let's talk about Kansas City and fireworks. July is an active time for them, and you'll often hear booms going off not just on the 4th of July, but the week leading up to and following the holiday. What's interesting is that fireworks are illegal here in Kansas City proper, but that doesn't seem to stop anyone. This is especially important to know if you have animals who get overly anxious from loud noises. Many pet owners dread this time of year because the constant explosions can be really stressful for their furry friends. If you have a dog or a cat that doesn't handle loud noises, well, you might find yourself dealing with some very anxious pets. Another thing we do here in Kansas City is play the "was that a gunshot or a firework" game. Sometimes it's hard to distinguish the difference, especially late at night. On the topic of guns, gun violence is something that we deal with on a daily basis here. I'm sure you've heard the news, especially with the Chiefs Parade shooting making national headlines. Unfortunately, it's not an isolated incident. The city is trying to combat this issue by imposing curfews for the youth and increasing police presence in high crime areas. These measures aim to reduce the number of incidents, but it remains a significant concern for residents. The reality is that gun violence is part of life in some areas of Kansas City. On that note, a lot of the gun violence takes place within the city limits. So if you're moving to the suburbs, then it's less of a concern. However, if you're planning to live within the city itself, this is something you need to be aware of. Up next, let's talk about the weather for a minute, specifically the humidity in Kansas City, which is no joke. Waking up this morning in July, the humidity was at 97%. You know that feeling of getting out of the shower and instantly sweating? Well, that's what it's like for about 3 months out of the year here. This can be a huge adjustment for some people, especially if you're moving from a dry climate. I moved from Colorado, which has a very dry climate, and the change was significant. The air here in Kansas City can feel heavy and sticky, and it takes some getting used to. During the summer months, the humidity can make the heat feel oppressive. Simple tasks like mowing the lawn or taking a walk can leave you drenched in sweat. Air conditioning becomes a necessity, not a luxury, to stay comfortable indoors. So make sure to stay hydrated, invest in a good dehumidifier, and embrace for the laid-back summer vibe that comes with those sticky hot days. On the note of summer, another thing you need to be aware of are the bugs here in Kansas City. The mosquitoes are vicious, the flies are a nuisance, and the cicadas can be deafening. I'm one of those people that mosquitoes love. Not sure if it's my blood type or what, but I get eaten alive while my wife remains pretty much untouched. If you're like me, you'll need to stock up on bug spray and citronella candles. Eating outside can be a challenge too. You can't really enjoy a meal without a dozen flies trying to share it with you. Then there are the cicadas. Personally, I love the sound of them. It's a quintessential part of the summer in the Midwest. But it's not for everyone, and not everybody shares the same affinity of the noisy bugs. I actually had a client move here from California who had never heard them before and found it quite overwhelming. The noise can be intense, especially during peak cicada season, and it's something to get used to if you've never experienced it before. Again, coming from drier climates, these are issues that you may not be accustomed to. The humidity combined with the abundance of water sources creates a perfect environment for these bugs. Another aspect of Kansas City living you need to be prepared for is the thunderstorms. This year, they've been abnormally severe. We've had a couple of small tornadoes in the metro area, and hail and strong winds are pretty common occurrences. These storms can bring about major power outages. My neighbor had a tree take out their power line recently and lost power for several days. It's not uncommon to see downed trees falling on cars and roofs, causing significant damage. Just the other day, we had a torrential downpour, and I had water coming through my kitchen cabinets, something that I never thought I'd have to deal with. The frequent storms means that maintaining your property becomes absolutely crucial. You'll want to regularly trim those trees, secure outdoor furniture, and ensure your home has proper grading and drainage to prevent major damage. Now, one thing that Kansas City really lacks is a robust public transit system. Sure, we have a new international airport and the streetcar is being extended 3.5 miles south, which are great developments for the city. However, we don't have a light rail or tram systems like other larger cities do. The Kansas City metro area is quite sprawled out, so if you live outside of the urban core, you'll be pretty much bound to your car. This can be a significant adjustment for anyone coming from cities with more extensive public transportation networks. In many cases, commuting by car is the only viable option, and this can add to the cost and complexity of daily life. Public transportation options are limited, and while the bus system serves many areas, it may not be as convenient or efficient as systems in cities with more developed transit infrastructure. For those who are reliant on public transit, this can be a pretty big drawback. Speaking of being bound to your car, Kansas City has a high number of crazy drivers. This isn't just my opinion, many people will tell you the same thing. Driving in this city can be scary sometimes. You'll encounter a variety of driving styles that can make the roads feel chaotic. Speeding, aggressive lane changes, and running red lights are more common than you might think. This can be particularly nerve-wracking if you're new to the area and still getting used to local driving habits. The combination of high speed, highways, busy intersections, and less than predictable driving behavior means that you need to stay alert at all times. Defensive driving is a must, and it's always a good idea to give yourself a little extra time to get to your destination. Snow and ice can make the roads treacherous, and not everybody's accustomed to these conditions. This can lead to even more unpredictability. Now, something else that you should know is regarding the affordability of living in Kansas City. When I moved here in 2020, I remember thinking how cheap it was. Kansas City seemed like an affordable place to live with plenty of housing options that wouldn't break the bank. However, the market has changed quite a bit since then. As of now, the median home price in Kansas City is $315,000 and the average home price is $368,000. While these figures are still below the national average of $412,000, you should know that affordability can vary significantly depending on the location. For instance, in Johnson County, the median home price is much higher at $454,000. This area is known for its excellent schools and amenities, which drives up property values. Other desirable neighborhoods and suburbs also come with higher price tags, reflecting their popularity and the amenities they offer. Even though Kansas City is still more affordable than many other major cities, it's not as cheap as it once was. The real estate market has been on the rise, and housing costs are catching up with the national trend. If you're moving here with the expectation of rock bottom prices, you might be surprised. On the plus side, your money can go further here than in places like New York, San Francisco, or even Denver. However, it's crucial to do your research and understand the specific market conditions in the area where you plan to move. Real estate is hyper local, and finding that balance between affordability and desired amenities is key. Now, this last thing that you'll want to know about has to do with a specific type of car and a car crime trend that has impacted many KC residents over the past several years. The culprits, known locally here as the Kia Boyz, have stolen almost 4,000 Kias and Hyundais in Kansas City, Missouri in just 1 year. These thefts are made possible because Kia and Hyundai models were designed and manufactured without engine immobilizers, a critical anti-theft device that is standard in most other vehicles. Without this device, these models can easily be started with something as simple as a screwdriver and a USB drive, making them highly susceptible susceptible to theft. I was just getting my hair cut today and a guy came in, his car was just stolen out front of his house at 1 o'clock in the afternoon while he was taking a nap. It's become an unsettling common scenario here. The police are aware and are working on tackling this issue, but the sheer volume of thefts has made it a tough battle. So if you're someone who drives a Kia or a Hyundai, this could add a significant amount of stress to your daily life. Now, despite all these things, Kansas City is still a pretty great place to live. The next big question I get asked is regarding the best places to live. And if that's you, then you'll want to check out this next video here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon for more updates on all things Kansas City, and we'll see you on the next video.